Yaps. It's in the name.
Monday morning, and just for the purposes of any police officers or MI5 agents who are watching this video, I do not support any kind of coup action in the UK. So why then am I talking about it? Well, I'm talking about it because of a post made by Ant Middleton, a former Special Forces soldier and all-round celebrity. And here's what Ant had to say. On the 13th of September, I will ask for something of the British public, British patriots, that I would never ask of if I weren't willing to lead the charge. If certain individuals can ask for our throats to be with zero accountability or repercussion, then that allows us free rein to defend ourselves in such a manner that will rattle foreign hostiles and our government to the very core. Choose a side, because this is ultimately what it has come down to. See you on the 13th of September and prepare your shield.
Wow.
Wow, that is quite the post. And we're going to dig into all of it, but right from the outset, you can tell that there are people now working in the Metropolitan Police looking at that and thinking, oh God. Okay,
Yeah,
let's dig into this.
for sure.
Ant
That's
talks about
insane.
September the 13th. Now, why does he pick that day? Well, many of you will know that Tommy Robinson has organised a protest on the 13th of September in
This is the day after my mama's birthday.
central London. And
Shout out, mama.
these protests are by far the biggest that we see in the country. Usually around 250,000 people go to them, but given the current mood, I wouldn't be surprised to see that at 500,000. And guess who's been asked to speak? Yeah, Ant Middleton. Ant Middleton will be taking to the stage on that day in front of potentially 500,000 people. In fact, let me just find some footage from one of the past protests so you can see how big these really are.
Yeah, let's see this. That's a lot of
Look,
people.
I've been to a few of Tommy Robinson's protests in the past, and it is by far the largest single gathering of patriotic British people that you will find in one spot. And that one spot, by the way, is usually Parliament Square, right next to the Houses of Parliament. So I'm not saying for certain that Ant Middleton is trying to launch a political revolution on the 13th of September. But what I can say for sure is that if you wanted to do so, then that is exactly the right time and place to do it. You've got all of the right people in exactly the right place. I will be there on the 13th of September, and I should stress that I'm not there to launch a political revolution or anything like that. I'm just going to get involved. Hopefully I can meet some of you there. That'd be fantastic. But yeah, please do come along. Maybe we'll be witnessing history. Maybe we'll just have a good time. Who knows?
We'll be
Now, I
there.
planned in this video to talk all about how Tommy Robinson
physically,
probably
but
wouldn't
virtually.
allow some kind of revolution to start at one of his rallies. And the reason is relatively simple. I've been to a bunch of them in the past, and they are run like clockwork. Everything is peaceful. Everything is coordinated with the police. There's usually very few or even no arrests. All of the litter is collected at the end and disposed of. In fact, I would go as far as to say that your average migrant hotel protest with 2,000 people in attendance is more likely to turn sour than a Tommy Robinson organised protest with 200,000 people in attendance. That's the difference. But then I saw a tweet this morning that Tommy had put out. There needs to be a revolution. It's as simple as that. Oh, Tommy.
Yikes. Yeah.
Style starts with the details. The difference
Like, we don't need these high. That is the rhetoric that is just turning the temperature up, not just in the United States, but all around the world.
In a few recent podcasts, Tommy has spoken about the need for some kind of revolution, but he's always maintained that he means a peaceful political revolution, not a violent revolution, right? Or a coup d'etat, as it were. So is that what Ant Middleton is getting at? Is he saying, I'm joining the Advance Party, or I'm starting my own political party? After all, he does say, now is the time to choose a side, right? So maybe that's what he's getting at. But let me just remind you of some of the other language he used, and you can decide for yourself whether that sounds like joining a political party. If certain individuals can ask for our throats to be with zero accountability or repercussions, then that allows us free rein to defend ourselves in such a manner that will rattle foreign hostiles and our government to the very core. Choose a side, because this is ultimately what it has come down to, and prepare your shield. Look, let's be honest, okay, that's fighting talk. That doesn't sound like join my political party. When he's talking about, you know, we have free rein to defend
It's like
ourselves
hype for a
however we
football
see
game.
fit. That's not political speech as I would traditionally imagine it. So sure, maybe that is one option, and that's definitely like the most politically acceptable option that Ant could be referring to, but it just doesn't quite match up with the language, does it? Let's be honest.
No,
Another
it does not.
fairly innocent explanation that I just thought of is maybe he's referring to some kind of extreme neighborhood watch, right? And we've actually seen this start taking place in certain areas in the country, especially in Northern Ireland. I was watching Freedom Dad the other day, and he was following some Northern Irish guys around at like midnight, and they were basically patrolling the streets, ostensibly to keep women and children safe.
And
So
saying
that's
that
really interesting. And sure, I guess that kind of fits with the
What's going
language. So
on.
that's one possibility. Or, and let's just be honest here, this is what we're all thinking, maybe he's talking about storming the Houses of Parliament. I mean, after all, you've got hundreds of thousands of angry, patriotic Brits stood right in front of you. You're on stage, you've got a microphone, you can all see the Houses of Parliament. They're right there, right next to you. You're in Parliament Square. And if he says, right lads, follow me, we're going in that direction, and thousands of people start following Ant, then yeah, I'm pretty sure you could just walk into the Houses of Parliament. The police aren't, I mean, what can they do? They're going to be massively outnumbered. Are they just going to start sporadically firing into crowds of thousands of people? I don't think so, because that's kind of like, well, then you just get like an English Bloody Sunday.
Yeah.
I don't think they would do that, and I don't think the order would be given
Game
for
of
them to do
Thrones,
that.
Red
And even if it
Wedding.
was, I don't think they would follow that order. So yeah, I'm pretty sure you could just walk en masse straight into the Houses of Parliament and very little would be done about it. But then you've got a whole other question, right?
Yeah.
What do you do once you're in there? Is the plan to have some kind of sit-down protest? Well, sure,
Sip
okay,
some
but then
tea.
eventually you are all just going to get rounded up and arrested. The
Yeah.
police will just pick you off one at a time.
Yeah.
Or are you actually trying to like take control of the country? Are you going to try and depose the king? Are you going to try and seize control of the army? Because whoever controls the army realistically controls the country. And in all fairness, if anyone's going to have any chance of seizing control of the army, it probably is a former special forces guy, right? Because of what he's done, he can command the respect of the average everyday soldier. Now look, all of these ideas, even me hearing myself speak them
I'm
out
over here
loud,
looking
are
to the left and right, like-
completely insane.
Absolutely.
Batshit crazy, right? You know that,
Batshit.
and I know that.
Okay.
And yet
glad
you're
you know
still
that.
here listening to me, and you're probably thinking, yeah, that's plausible. That's
That's the thing is that he's not wrong. We're all it's just like it's not zero. The chances are not zero. Not high, but not zero.
how bad Britain has become. That we are now in the situation where we're talking about like a coup d'etat, the kind of thing you only see in like South American failed states, but we're talking about it in Britain. And we're not going, look, that's ridiculous. Maybe some of you are, maybe some of you are already switched off and you're like, yeah, this guy's an idiot. Totally fine. But for those who are still listening, like, yeah, that could actually happen. I could see that taking place. I could see
2%
people going
chance.
along with that. That's a really bad sign, because that means that Britain has fallen all the way down to those South American countries that have had exactly this happen to them. Scary, scary thought. Look, I'm sure that Ant Middleton isn't planning anything that extreme. But the fact that we can even discuss it and that it's actually technically plausible and possible is really, really telling. Here's a bit of interesting British history for you. It wouldn't be the first time that a member of the British Special Forces has planned to overthrow the government. Because back in the 1970s, David Stirling, the founder of the SAS and frankly all modern special forces, planned to do exactly this. Now, David Stirling didn't get very far in his plans or his attempts, but the mood of the country is very, very different today. We see protests up and down the country, sometimes 20 on a single day. And right now there is a campaign to raise the colours, which is basically putting the English flag everywhere, even in places like Tower Hamlets where there are basically no English people left. Take a look at this.
Imagine bringing your side project to life just by thinking about it. Meet Base 40.
I just see flags waving.
Look, the mood in Britain is absolutely febrile, especially amongst the English people. And we're just sick of our government. And I'm not talking about one specific government. I'm not talking about Keir Starmer's Labour government. I'm talking about successive governments since at least 1997 when Tony Blair took power, but you could argue even further back than that. We've had all of this anti-democratic stuff just rammed onto us. I'm talking about mass migration, which people have consistently voted against. Well, it was forced onto us, right? Joining the ECHR, nobody wanted that. Okay, the creation of the Supreme Court, a court which can effectively overrule what Parliament decides. That's crazy. Why are we doing this? We've basically created these quangos, these quasi-autonomous non-government organizations that can limit what Parliament does. That's crazy. That's why the Rwanda scheme, for example, which I don't think was a good scheme, but that's why the Rwanda scheme could never get off the ground, because of all of these other organizations that were getting involved. Madness, absolute madness. We've stripped our own democracy away from us. Bonkers. So I don't think these political elites really understand the level of anger that exists in this country. And for those people, the Jacob...
I know this guy's speaking on just England and that's his focus because that's his country. But damn, does the sentiment not feel like it's being shared around the world?
Rees-Moggs of the world, okay? I would strongly recommend you go and read some of the replies to Ant's original post. I'm not going to go through all of them, but the gist of it for a lot of people is this. I'll be there, I'll help you out, let's do this. And that's how people feel in this country, right? Regardless of what Ant's original intent...
So I was wrong. I thought it was the 23rd. This is in 3 days. Wow, this is going to be kind of crazy.
...was with that post, and I really don't know. A lot of people are interpreting it as him saying, right, we're going to do a coup. And not only are they interpreting him saying it as that, they're then replying and going, yeah, sure, I volunteer, let's get this done. That's crazy. The fact that that is the mood of a lot of people in this country is crazy. Anyway, look, I am genuinely, more than most videos, really curious to hear what you guys think. Maybe you think I'm making a big deal out of absolutely nothing, it's just one post. Fine, you could be absolutely correct. Let me know that in the comments, change my mind. Sure, maybe you think that I'm right, maybe you just don't have a clue what's going on. Maybe you just want to say, hey, I'll see you there on September 13th. Sorry, the dog just found a tennis ball, which is great fun. She's very happy. This is like the 3rd tennis ball we found in these fields in the last couple of days. So someone keeps losing them and Annie keeps finding them. She's very, very happy.
Very, very happy dog. And so Annie. But this is just happening in 3 days. So if it's Wednesday, that's like Friday, Saturday this week. Apparently something is going down.